All right, so what I'd like you all to do is to introduce yourself in the chat box with your name and your school district. If you are new to Zoom, at the bottom of your screen, you should see where it says chat. And when you click on that, it will open a chat box on your right. And that is where you can type in a message into the chat box. So everyone can see where you are, who you are, and where you teach. All right, so my name is Shanna Carson. I'm the Director of Health and PE here at the Oklahoma State Department of Education. For those of you who are calling in, my email address is Shanna, SHANA.Classen, CLASSEN, at sde.ok.gov. If I will repeat that if you don't have things to write that down on right now, so that later in our presentation, if you want to share something via email, you can do that. So it's Shanna, SHANA.Classen, CLASSEN, at sde.ok.gov. We still have a lot of people coming in. So that's really good news, okay? All right, so we'll go ahead. What I'd like you all to do right now is you're going to go to menti.com, or if you don't want to go to menti.com, you can scan this QR code and it will take you to a question. And then I'll need you to answer that question for me. If you have an iPhone, if you just take your camera, open up your camera and hold it over the QR code, it should link you directly to this website, menti.com. If you go to oops, sorry, I need to go back. You can enter that code at the top. 214762 is the code that you would need to use if you go to menti.com. I'll just give you about 10 more seconds to do that, and then we'll check out our results and see how we're feeling.
Self.
Go ahead and mute yourself in the lower left corner if you're coming in. All right, so we're getting a live look at what the words that describe how you're feeling right now. If you didn't enter or go to menti.com, maybe check out the words that we're looking at right now and see if some of those words describe how you're feeling. Maybe find one or two words. So I know all of you may be feeling sad, nervous, unsure, anxious, overwhelmed, lost, stressed, Some people are feeling good. Some people are feeling worried or curious, challenged or bored, uncharted waters about our situation right now. And although there are some things that are uncertain right now, there are a few things that are certain. And that's that you all are dedicated and passionate individuals who want to serve your students to the best of your ability. And so I want to take this time and say thank you for being amazing teachers, and for also being here at this Zoom meeting today. We're gonna get through this situation together, because we are stronger together. And so we just have to keep in mind that we're here for one another and we can do this. I'm going to go ahead and close out of that Mentee. Thank you for participating. All right, I have Ayanthi on the line, and she is going to be taking notes today for us. And at the end of our meeting, we'll share that document via Facebook, and also the newsletter that will be going out next week. So don't feel like you have to take notes on every single thing we talk about today, because that will be shared with you. Okay. Ayanthi, if you notice over on the left side, it will say parking lot items. This is where we're going to pose any questions or problems that may require a little more research for me to find an answer or get more information. So let's talk about the meeting norms. Right now, I think we have over 100 people joining us, which is really awesome. And so since it is such a large group, we're going to be using our chat box for questions and comments. My colleague Elizabeth Mon, the Director of Fine Arts, is with us as well, and she's going to monitor our chat box, and she's going to ask me questions or pose questions to me, so that it will help this meeting run smoothly. Or Elizabeth, you can text me those questions, or let me see if I can. Actually, you can just unmute yourself, Elizabeth, so that will work. Okay. We also need to make sure that we're being respectful to all participants. And then this meeting is being recorded and will be available in my April Health and PE newsletter. All right, so our agenda today, we're just going to briefly touch on what's distance learning, what roles and responsibilities, teacher self-care during this time, super important, guidance documents, and then learning menu, idea submission, and then FAQs about COVID, and then we're going to do some Q&A from the survey I sent out a day or two ago in my newsletter, okay? So let's first off talk about distance learning. The goal is to maintain or continue learning. Learning should be a review or enrichment of what your students have already learned this year. Build on prior knowledge with clear and concise lessons or activities. And this is a time to be creative and innovative in maybe things that you've always wanted to do, just didn't have time to fit it into your yearly plan. This is the time to kind of put those ideas out there for our students. And for some of you who may live in rural areas, you know, we have to kind of think outside the box on this too. So, because they may or may not have technology. All right, so if you just joined us, go ahead and mute yourself in the lower left column, or on the lower left side. Please mute yourself. Go ahead and mute yourself on the lower side. Lower left side. All right, so let's talk about the roles and the responsibilities of teachers. It's really important to know that each district will develop a local plan, and that plan may look different in every community based on needs and accessibility of resources. So like I was saying earlier, rural schools may not have internet access, and so that's going to limit or the technology, the resources that you can provide them. So the plan in every school district will look different. So what you need to do is to talk to your administrator about your role and your responsibility. How can you help out and be a team player? And then the last thing is try to connect with our students. Have that connectivity with our students is really important, so they know that we care about them and that they're important, and that you're still thinking about them even as we're at home and teaching from afar. So the next thing we want to talk about real quick is teacher self-care. I feel like we've been working from home for about 2 weeks now, and so you need to create separate spaces, like a workspace and then home space, just to kind of create that where I work here and then I need to move out of that space when it's 5 o'clock or whenever it is, so that you don't continue to work all evening, because that can get pretty stressful and pretty heavy on you. Identify personal support structures at home and within your school family. Lean into that and lean into your school family and your colleagues to help you through this time. Take care of yourself, and there's no right or wrong. Give yourself grace, and to everyone around you too. All right, so right now, the Oklahoma State Department of Education has been working on guidance documents. I got a question from the survey earlier this week that said, are there going to be guidelines? I don't look at this as guidelines, but as guidance to help people understand what this could look like. What does PE with no technology look like? What does PE with technology look like? And so right now you can access this guidance document for pre-K through 5 at this bit.ly. And I know Elizabeth has also posted that in the chat box as well. Elizabeth, do we have any questions or comments that you want to share at this time?
Not yet.
Okay. All right, and you can also check out the guidance documents for 6 through 12. The bit.ly is also on the screen. For those of you who are at home, for the pre-K through K guidance document, it is bit.ly/2 uppercase J, lowercase g, lowercase f, uppercase J, uppercase I, lowercase t. So if you want to look at that, I'll give you a few minutes to kind of explore that, and then come back in a few minutes. I'll give you a signal and see if you have any questions or comments, and you can post those in the chat box. All right, we're going to go ahead and talk about questions, comments about these guidance documents. Elizabeth, do you have anything in our chat box?
I'm about to paste the landing page for all of the guidance. We've created this for multiple subjects pre-K through 12, so I'll put that link to the SDE website in the chat box.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, these guidance documents are for every subject and every grade. I've just picked our subject and highlighted those on our screen because that's what most or pertains to us most. But yes, every grade level and subject will be on the SDE website with the link that Elizabeth is providing. So I'll just give you a couple of more minutes to post something in the chat box. And if you if we don't have any questions or comments about these documents, then we will move on. Sounds like a rainstorm is coming through, or a thunderstorm, and some hail starting. It's pretty big. So hopefully all the technology keeps running, even with the thunderstorm. So if you hear knocking, I'm knocking. That's not me, it's the hail. It's a pretty good size. Anything in the chat box, Elizabeth, or we go ahead and move on?
Go ahead and move on. I'm going to check a few things on the website. I think part of this is that they're still building pieces of it, so some of the links work and some of them don't. By the end of today, they should have this site ready to go.
Thank you for that information, Elizabeth. All right, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the learning menu idea submission form. All of the individuals who work in the Office of Curriculum and Instruction here at OSDE have been building out learning menus with no-tech ideas and technology ideas as well. And we will continue to build those learning menus out. But we would love for you to share your wonderful ideas so that our students in all around the state can benefit. So the survey link is at the bit.ly that's on the screen. So if you'd like to just take a couple minutes, here in a second we're going to brainstorm, so kind of be thinking about some lessons that you could adapt to at home. And so my example here is for grades 2 health. So students could conduct a household hazard hunt. And so the child and their could go around the house and things that could be considered as hazardous. And then afterwards, brainstorm some ways that the family can stay safe hazards and have the child explain safety and staying from those hazards is important. Okay? So right now, if you're at home, if you don't feel like you can share on that bit.ly address an idea that you may have for a no-tech activity that kids could do at home, then just maybe take a sheet of paper and jot down some ideas. And it can be elementary health, it can be elementary PE, it can be middle school, high school health, and it could also be middle school, high school PE. And kind of think of some ideas. And if you're, like me, I kind of process things. And so if over the next few days, you think of some ideas, this link, the survey link, will be on our Oklahoma PE and Health page. It was supposed to go out, I scheduled it to go out at 1 o'clock. So if you're at home and you're not on the computer, but you have Facebook, you can get on our Oklahoma PE and Health Facebook page, and you should be able to see this link in where you can add a learning menu. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. OSDE has been also working on develop FAQs for COVID-19. So this would be a great resource for you to use to get answers to many of the school-related questions about COVID. And so we're going to just real quick look at it. And so if you on the screen, you can see at the top, the sections are about the coronavirus, the mandatory of operations through April 5th. It also has questions and answers, mandatory closures, and what does that look like for school boards, workplace and camp questions, school calendar instruction, assessment and school accountability, funding, distance learning. And if I read this last night about 5 o'clock, so that I could make sure that I had the information that was most recent. And by 9 o'clock, when I checked back on it, so it's being updated every 2 to 3 days because the information surrounding the situation is constantly changing. And so check back here at this, this link on our Oklahoma State Department of Education website, because we have all sorts of new information coming in constantly. We also have a section for grading and graduation requirements. Please keep scrolling. Teacher certification, students with disabilities, child nutrition, federal guidelines for student privacy. And then if you have questions that aren't in the FAQs, then it shows the right folks at OSD to contact to get those that information. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on into our FAQ. So like I said, I sent out a survey in the newsletter that I sent out, I believe on the 20th, that was yesterday. Time's kind of going by slowly, quickly, I'm not sure. Days are running, but I sent out that survey and asked people things that you need help with. And so I have a few questions that we can go through as a group and see if maybe some of your questions are also ones that showed up on the survey. So question 1, what best ways to communicate with students? So remember, we'll go back to, that is your district is developing that local plan. So contact your administrator. He or she may want you to use a specific app or system or platform, but possibilities are using your phone and calling with free conference call.com. Remind, online chats with Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams. Then there's learning management systems like Google Classroom, Blackboard, Canvas, and then live communication platforms like we're doing right now with Zoom, Skyping, Hangout, WebEx, and Teams. So some of you might be saying, I don't know about any of those. I feel your pain. Just a month or so ago, I hadn't heard of a lot of these communication platforms, or I hadn't used them, including Zoom. And so if I can do it, you all can do it too. And so here at OSDE, we've been using Zoom and Teams, and they're pretty user-friendly. You just, the more you play with it and the more you work with it, the better it's going to be for you. Elizabeth, do you have any comments on that?
Not directly related to that, but one of the lesson ideas that Dylan put in the chat was that for high school, to do a health journal with nutrition and the students document what they eat and how much they exercise. And he said the kids usually enjoy it.
Awesome. What's a way that, and I'll pose this to the whole group, what's a way that students could relay that information back to the teacher and show their progress or the things that they have done? We'll come back to that after question 2, okay? So if you want to post those things, how can students show you the things they're doing? Post that in the chat, and then we'll discuss it after question 2. Question 2, will there be any training on how to use Zoom or other technology platforms? Yes. Right now, OSDE is in the process of organizing and scheduling trainings on Zoom and other platforms. If you would like to share in our chat box things that you would like to learn about specifically, so that we can pass that on to the people who are organizing that, and that way we can set up those webinars and make them the most useful to the people who need them the most. So just let us know how and what you need help on, and so that we can address that through webinars. Elizabeth, we'll come back to the question, how can students share with us their progress and things like that? Do we have any answers for that?
We have a whole bunch.
All right.
Zoom, email, the Remind app that some schools use, Google Forms, posts on Facebook, even a phone call. So all sorts of ideas. Class Dojo, pictures posted on social media probably, or even just having the students fill out a Google form.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so also right now I'd like you to start chatting, putting in the chat box technology platforms that you would like to see OSDE provide. If you could do that for us, then we can have a record and help us in our planning. All right, if you do that, why we discuss question number 3. Will there be guidelines given for distance learning? OSDE right now, this part of this webinar is providing guidance on distance learning, but not guidelines. I see guidelines as more of this is what you have to do. And here at OSDE, we're not going to tell you what you have to do. They are simply suggestions on ways that you can help your students with technology or without technology. And remember that each district is in charge of developing that local plan. All right, Elizabeth, we'll come back to what are some platforms that our teachers would like to have some training on?
Well, we have a question that's kind of on the same path. If you're teaching, I'm guessing these are elementary PE folks, and you have close to 1,000 students and you're trying to get information back from them, what would be the best option for that?
Well, I think that when you're dealing with large groups of children, maybe something like a Google form that can be organized into maybe a spreadsheet. And then you can just see their responses on that spreadsheet might be a good way, because they're, like I said, I mean, like it is difficult when you have 1,000 students. Now, does every activity and every child need to send you something? That's something you and your district are going to need to kind of work through, because that is a barrier. I mean, when you have one person or one teacher and 1,000 students, that makes it really, really difficult. Elizabeth, do you have any other ideas on ways that teachers can handle or manage the large number of students that they teach?
Yeah, another question that came through was with your pre-K through first grade or second, like how would that work in a Google form?
And like I said, that doesn't necessarily have to be, that was just a suggestion of maybe how to manage, larger groups. I wouldn't pose that to every single student in an elementary school, but maybe you could use that for your 3rd through 5th graders. I know a lot of teachers have Facebook groups specifically to their elementary school. I'm going to call out one of my friends right now, Lisa Ashford in Edmond. She poses little challenges on her Frontier Elementary Facebook, and then parents just put the pictures on there. And that way it's one place, kind of like a hub for people to kind of show what they're doing. And again, you would need to talk to your district, and is that the direction you want to go with that? Elizabeth, other questions?
Well, someone suggested that creating a group page on Facebook with only the parents. I'm also wondering if maybe you just need to reach out to the classroom teachers for pre-K and a little bit older, see if they would maybe work with you on getting information back from the students, whatever route that they're using.
And that's a really good idea. Thanks for sharing, Elizabeth. All right, we're going to move on to question 4. And Elizabeth, if other questions come up, we can just address them after this one. Question number 4, what is the best way to send video, and how many lessons should people be doing per week, and how often are people doing those? And so I took this question as maybe this person felt like they needed to video their lessons and then send those out to their students multiple times per week. And again, that's a district level decision. So contact your administrator and to know your specific responsibilities. They may want you to use a specific platform. And so, maybe share with them your ideas, and then, just get a clear idea of what's expected of you, because it's really hard to do what they want you to do if we haven't had those conversations, or maybe that anxiety of not knowing what to do when maybe you just need to communicate with them and give you a little more clarity and direction. But possibilities for this question is if you have a Gmail account, you can save videos to YouTube. There is a time limit, and once it's uploaded to YouTube, a link can be shared with your students. I actually reached out to my colleague Karen Leonard at the Oklahoma State Department of Education. She is the technology director. And so she said if anyone is having difficulty with this, to reach out to her, and she could help you with some of these questions regarding technology. Elizabeth, do you have any other questions we need to address before we move on?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay, so question number 5 on the survey was what about resources and ideas for students without internet? And so those, we will be providing learning menus on our Oklahoma State Department of Education website really soon. And we will continue to build those out for grades pre-K through 12 in PE and health. Also, there has been questions about resource packets being sent out, and that actually changed, I believe, in the last 24 hours. And so according to the OSDE FAQs for the COVID-19 pandemic, it says that you can. It will be on page 10 of the FAQs, that there's low risk in sending those out. So that is an idea. We were discussing with some other colleagues that heard that El Reno's newspaper is printing and delivering resources to students. So sometimes I think, in these kind of situations, we're all This is all new to everyone. We kind of have to think outside the box and how to get resources to those kiddos who don't have internet or access to a lot of resources. Also, we heard about North Carolina. They're providing internet access with buses. Apparently they have like 3,000 buses that they're going to deploy, and those buses be kind of like hotspots for students to access the internet. So just, maybe go back to your districts and brainstorm on how can we provide these resources to students or get them access to the internet. Karen might be on the line. If Karen's on the line and can share any ideas on this as well. Elizabeth, do you have any other comments on this particular slide or other questions?
I don't think so, but I don't see that Karen's on here.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and go to question number 6. What about resources for families staying healthy and or an active and healthy eating for kids and families? Like I said, we're still working on those learning menus, and any ideas of activities that you can provide via that link that I showed earlier. It will be on our Facebook, would be great. But an example would be to keep a weekly food or exercise journal, which that was already mentioned earlier. Plan and prepare a meal, including foods from the 5 food groups. Right now, sparkecademy.org is providing a free access to their home material. And one thing that is in that is a wellness journal. I also got the link this morning that Catch is also offering Health at Home for free. And these resources will be in the notes that you have access to after the meeting. So those are two spots that you can specifically look for staying active resources and even healthy eating and health related topics. Does anyone, I'll give you a little time to share other resources in the chat box, and then we can share those out. Elizabeth, do we have any other resources that people would like to share today?
Yeah, we have Kim from Healthy Schools Oklahoma has been posting videos. Open Phys Ed has resources, Cosmic Yoga, and Awayford has resources on their page, and Gopher has videos to use if you don't feel comfortable filming yourself.
Excellent, thank you.
Oh, and one other, this was mentioned in one of our meetings the other day, your local cable channel that broadcasts games, concerts, whatever it is for your district. Someone's district is using their local channel to present PE activities.
Oh, cool. What area is that?
I don't know, it's Jen Sanders.
Okay, well maybe she can circle
Tulsa.
back around. Tulsa, awesome.
Got it.
All right, well here is a picture of that wellness journal from sparkecademy.org. So it has areas to write descriptions of each activity with the number of minutes that you're active. Is it moderate or vigorous activity? The date that you completed it. So go ahead and get on there and check these resources out, because it is all free right now. One really exciting partnership between OSDE and OETA for distance learning. There will be a webinar actually today. Sorry, I cut and paste and didn't catch that. But it's actually today at 4 o'clock to introduce you to this platform. So you can join the webinar by visiting that Zoom address. And you would just access it just like you did today's meeting, or you can watch it on Facebook live on the OSDE's page. And so OETA is working with OSDE, and they're providing programming that is educational on topics like history and science. And so that's really exciting. There's also a PBS learning media, or actually it's oeta.tv/learning at home. And there's all sorts of curriculum and activities that link to that programming. And there's updated program schedule and a statewide channel list. So kind of the same idea as Tulsa doing their partnership showing PE activities. That's really awesome though. So I think we kind of have to leverage these partnerships with newspapers or TV channels the best that we can in our area to provide these resources to our families who may or may not have that connectivity with the internet. So right now, Ayanthi, I want to thank you for taking notes today. And everyone can access that shared document via the bit.ly or this QR code. I really like the arrows, kind of spices the picture up a bit. All right, I see that a lot of you have asked to join our Oklahoma PE and Health Facebook page. 11 of you right during this hour of meeting. So thank you so much for joining. So that before we end today, I really want all of you to, if you come across some really great resources, then post them here so that others can use those and share those with students and families that how they best see fit. And really appreciate you all being here. For those friends that are at home, the note-taking shared document will be on our newsletter that will probably be going out next week. And if you'd like to get that, the bit.ly, I'll say it verbally here real quick. It's https://bit.ly/3 lowercase a, lowercase l, lowercase w, lowercase h, capital K, and a capital K again. So let's see. Here's my contact information just one more time. If you need to contact me, or if you do not have a Google form, please just email me your ideas that you'd like to share. And we'll hopefully get those learning menus up really, really soon on our Oklahoma State Department of Education's website. And at this time, we'll just open it up for questions and things that we can discuss while we're on the line, because we have about 5 to 10 minutes before we have to sign off because other friends at OSD have Zoom meetings as well. So Elizabeth, do you have some other questions?
Just a few more resources that people mentioned. Go Noodle, which is always fun. Shape, and then Jen from Tulsa shared their remote PE activities list, which I see a lot of people are in that document right now. It looks to be like it's a great resource.
Awesome. Who sent that? Can you tell me again?
That is from Jen Sanders in Tulsa.
Well, Jen Sanders, thank you. I would really appreciate that if you would send that to the Learning Menus survey link or email it to me, whichever is easiest. Okay. Any other questions, comments before we leave?
This question is for Shane Williams from Moore Public Schools. This is around can you email me your PDF? For some reason, it won't let me download that onto our notes page. If you create it in like a Google Doc.
Yes, and if Shane, you already sent that to me, but I don't believe I have put it on the Learning Menus document, so you could post it there again as well. I know Shane and Stephanie McCrary have posted, sent PDFs to OAFERD, and if we do that, then they can post it on their website, I believe, as well. If Katie's on the line, you could maybe confirm or deny that statement.
I'm not sure if they've sent things, but if we get them, we will sure put them on the website.
Thank you.
I was just on that website. This is Lauren, and I was just on that website. They are up. So if people want to access those to on the OAFERD website, they can definitely link in there as well.
Thank you, Dr. Lopes.
Shana, can you repeat the questions or the comments page address again?
For the notes?
Yes.
Yes. The note document, and I also can share this in, I also will share it on Facebook, Nan, if that will help. Would that help you?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there are any other questions, comments? Because, you know, it wouldn't be a PE meeting unless we did some dancing and some moving. So we're going to dance right out of this meeting. Also, keep looking in the newsletter for upcoming meetings in the weeks to come. All right, everybody. I can't see you dancing. Unmute yourself and sing. Come on.
Hi guys, I got a crying baby.
Have a meeting.
Yeah.
A celebration to last through the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We gon' celebrate your party with you. Come on, let's all celebrate and have a good time.
When they get directed from the superintendent on what to do.
We gon' celebrate and have a good
They
time.
say elections are
It's time
music and art. That's right. Not that bad. She didn't keep us long.
Good, we in. I let everybody know we in.
Okay.
Thanks from Delidia Dowdell, Diane Cummins, and Karen Wilkerson. Yeah, baby. We in the house. Bye.